There is a banana peel lying on the cutting board in my kitchen right now. 10 minutes ago, it was wrapped around my breakfast. Most folks would drop it straight into the trash can without a second thought, and for more than 50 years of my life, so did I. But this afternoon, that peel is going into the soil of the tomato plant on my balcony, cut into little pieces and buried about 4 inches down. And over the next 6 weeks, it is going to feed that plant the exact 2 nutrients a tomato craves most. Slowly, gently, completely free. I learned this from a 65-year-old gardener named Mr. Chen, who tends a plot at the community garden a few blocks from my building and who's been doing this his whole life, the same way his grandmother did it in her vegetable garden in southern China. When I asked him about it, he laughed and told me that in 15 years at that garden, I was the first person who ever asked. He was never keeping a secret. Nobody thought to ask the quiet fellow with the best tomatoes on the block. Now stay with me all the way to the end, because the reason he buries the peel instead of soaking it in a jar of water, the way you may have heard about, comes down to one specific thing the soil does to that peel that water simply cannot do. Once you hear it, you will never look at a banana the same way again. I'm Jake, though most folks know me as Backyard Buddy. 3 years ago, I was the guy who killed houseplants, including, I'm sorry to admit, a cactus. Then a handful of green onion ends I tossed at the trash can missed, landed in a glass of water on the counter, and sprouted 3 days later. Since then, I've regrown hundreds of plants from kitchen scraps on my windowsills and my balcony. My grocery bill has dropped by nearly a third, and my neighbor Gloria upstairs, who has been growing food on her balcony for 20 years, taught me half of what I know. Let's talk about what fertilizer costs first, because that's what sent me to Mr. Chen in the first place. Walk into any garden center in America this spring, and a bottle of tomato fertilizer runs somewhere between $12 and $15. That's $12 to $15 for one bottle. A serious vegetable garden goes through 2 or 3 of those in a season. Meanwhile, the average American kitchen throws away banana peels almost every day of the week, and every one of those peels is carrying the same 2 nutrients printed in big letters on that bottle. Last spring, I was walking past the community garden on the corner, the one with the raised cedar beds, and Mr. Chen's tomato plants were already chest-high in June. Deep green leaves, trusses of fruit setting on every stem. Mine at home were doing fine, but his looked like a seed catalog photo. So I stopped and asked him what he feeds them. He didn't name a brand. He reached into a small pail by his knee and held up a banana peel. Now, you may have heard of putting banana peels in a jar of water on the windowsill and pouring that on your plants. Hold that thought, because the difference between that jar and what Mr. Chen does is the whole reason this video exists, and I promise the why is coming. Now, this little trick is one of 31 in a book I put together called The 30-Day Kitchen Scrap Garden Protocol: Zero Waste, Zero Experience, Free Food. It's the complete 30-day plan for turning the scraps your kitchen already throws away into growing food, written for absolute beginners with zero experience, zero yard, and close to zero budget in the same friendly walk-you-through-it style as this channel. Inside, you'll find 31 regrowable crops, each with its own plain instructions. The $10 starter kit gathered mostly from things you already own. The full day-by-day plan from your first glass of water to your first harvests, and troubleshooting help for when a scrap sulks on you. It's 172 pages, and it costs $17, marked down from $47. $17 one time against a grocery bill that gets a little smaller every week after. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you use to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up, give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time. There is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. All right, back to Mr. Chen and that pail of peels. because I want you to understand exactly what this trick is before your hands ever touch the soil. The whole method fits in one breath. You chop a banana peel into small pieces. You bury those pieces 4 to 6 inches deep, about 6 inches away from the stem of the plant. You cover it up, you water it, and you walk away. That's it. His grandmother did it in her garden in southern China, where nothing from the kitchen was ever wasted, and vegetable scraps went straight back into the soil beside the plants that would become the next meal. Generations of gardeners fed their vegetables exactly this way, long before anybody printed a label. And here's why the banana peel specifically earns its spot. A peel is loaded with potassium and phosphorus. Those are the two nutrients that drive flowering and fruiting. When a tomato plant sets fruit, when a pepper blushes red, when a rose throws blooms, potassium and phosphorus are doing the heavy lifting. And a peel is naturally low in nitrogen, which means it will not burn your plants the way an overdose of strong fertilizer can. It is gentle by nature. You genuinely cannot hurt your garden with one banana peel. If I can do this, I promise you can. So that's the what. Now let me walk you through the how, one step at a time, for a plant that's already growing in a bed or a plot. Take your time with this. There is no rush at all. Step 1. Save your peel. 1 or 2 peels per plant is plenty. That's 1 or 2, not a whole bunch. Step 2. Put the peel on a cutting board and chop it into pieces about 1 inch across. 1 inch, roughly the width of 2 fingers. Small pieces break down much faster, and they don't tempt the neighborhood squirrels the way a whole peel does. Step 3. Take a hand trowel and dig a shallow trench beside your plant, 4 to 6 inches deep. That's 4 to 6 inches, about the length of your hand. Keep the trench about 6 inches out from the stem, so you're feeding the root zone, not crowding the trunk. Step 4. Lay the peel pieces in the trench in a single layer. Don't pile them. Step 5. Push the soil back over them and press it down gently with your palm. Every piece should be fully covered with no yellow peeking out. Step 6. Water the spot well. And that's the whole job. 5 minutes, start to finish, and your plant has a slow-release meal waiting underground. Before we go on, let me gather that back up for you. Chop small, dig 4 to 6 inches, stay 6 inches from the stem, single layer, cover completely, water. That's the routine. Now, if you're putting new tomato or pepper plants in the ground this season, there's an even easier version. When you dig the planting hole, dig it about 2 inches deeper than you normally would. Drop a chopped peel in the bottom of the hole. Add 1 inch of plain soil on top of the peel so the roots aren't sitting directly on it. 1 inch of soil, that's the cushion. Then, set your plant in and fill the hole like always. By the time those roots grow down to where the peel was, the soil will have turned it into exactly what a fruiting plant is hungry for. Mr. Chen plants every single tomato this way, and I watched him do a whole row of them in an afternoon, quick as dealing cards. And if you're like me, with no yard at all, I have good news, because this works beautifully in containers on a balcony or by a sunny window. Here's what I do with the cherry tomato in the 5-gallon bucket on my balcony. I take 1 chopped peel and bury the pieces around the edge of the bucket 3 to 4 inches down in 2 or 3 separate spots. Around the edge, not against the stem, same rule as the garden bed. For a smaller pot, say a 12-inch pot with a pepper in it, half a peel is plenty. In a container, less is more, because there's less soil to do the work. Last summer, that bucket tomato, fed on nothing but buried peels and my usual scrap compost, kept handing me little red cherry tomatoes into October. October, on a balcony, from a plant that cost me $3 as a seedling. I stood out there in a jacket picking tomatoes and grinning like a fool. That's not garbage. That's groceries. That handles the how. But it leaves you with the mistakes, and there are 4 of them that can turn this free fertilizer into a free headache. So let's clear them out right now. Mistake number 1, and it's the big one, is laying a whole peel on top of the soil. On the surface, a peel dries out into a leathery strip that feeds nothing, and along the way it invites fruit flies, and sometimes a curious raccoon or squirrel who will dig up your pot looking for the rest of the banana. Underground is the whole trick. 4 inches down at minimum, always chopped, always covered. And keep that depth in mind, because the 4 to 6 inches is half the reason the soil can do that one thing I promised to explain before we're done. Mistake number 2 is burying peels right against the stem. Decomposing material sitting on a stem can invite rot, so keep your 6 inches of distance. 6 inches, remember, about a hand's length. Mistake number 3 is too much at once. 2 peels per plant every month or so is a feast. 10 peels is a soggy mess that breaks down slowly and can sour the soil. When in doubt, use less. Mistake number 4 is expecting fireworks by the weekend. This is slow food for plants. You'll see the difference over 4 to 6 weeks in deeper green leaves, more blossoms, and better fruit set, not overnight. The bottle from the store works fast and costs money every month. The peel works slow and costs nothing forever. I know which one my wallet prefers. Now, which plants actually want this? The banana peel is a gift for anything that flowers or fruits. Tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, eggplant, squash, strawberries, and yes, roses, which is why old-time rose growers have quietly buried peels under their bushes for ages. Leafy greens are the exception. Lettuce, spinach, and kale mostly want nitrogen for leaf growth, so peels won't hurt them, but they won't do much either. For the greens, a sprinkle of used coffee grounds serves better, and Gloria and I have a whole system for that we can talk about another day. As for timing, feed at planting time using the whole method, then again every 4 to 6 weeks through the growing season. Every 4 to 6 weeks, that's the rhythm. Ease off toward the end of summer, because late season feeding pushes tender new growth right when the plant should be finishing up. And speaking of Gloria, when I came home from the community garden all excited about Mr. Chen's peels, she just smiled at me over her coffee cans full of basil and said she'd been doing her own version for years. Gloria dries her peels. She lays them on a baking sheet and sets the oven to 200 degrees Fahrenheit, 200 degrees, until the peels go dark and crisp about an hour or two. Then she crumbles them into flakes and keeps them in a jar. Come feeding time, she scratches a tablespoon of flakes into the top inch of soil around each pot and waters it in. Dried flakes store all winter, they don't smell, and nothing digs for them. And if you don't have peels in a free afternoon at the same time, do what I do. Keep a zipper bag in the freezer and drop every peel in there as it comes. Frozen peels actually break down faster once buried because freezing bursts them open. The bag on my freezer door is basically my fertilizer aisle now, and the price never goes up. Which brings us at last to the part I promised you at the very start. Why does Mr. Chen bury the peel when half the internet's gardeners are soaking peels in mason jars of water on the windowsill? Why does one method grow chest-high tomatoes and the other mostly grows disappointment? The answer is that healthy soil is alive and water is not. A single handful of good garden soil holds billions of living things, bacteria, fungi, and earthworms, an entire hidden workforce. When you bury a chopped peel 4 to 6 inches down, you are delivering lunch to that workforce, right in the moist, busy zone where they live. They physically eat the peel, they break open its cells and release the potassium and phosphorus locked inside, converting them into the simple forms that roots can actually drink, and they do it gradually over weeks, a steady drip of nutrition delivered directly to the root zone. The fungal threads in the soil even carry those nutrients along and trade them to the plant's roots. And when the workforce finishes, the digested peel becomes rich organic matter that helps the soil hold water and air. Now compare the jar. Potassium and phosphorus do not simply float out of a peel into cold water. After 2 days of soaking, you have faintly yellow water, a smell your spouse will mention, and only a trace of anything a plant can use. And then, and this is the part that gets me, folks pour off the water and throw the peel away. They throw away the fertilizer and keep the rinse water. The soil is the factory. The jar is just a waiting room. That's why the depth matters too. 4 to 6 inches down is where the moisture stays even and the microbe population is thickest, and it's deep enough that flies and squirrels never get an invitation. Mr. Chen's grandmother never heard the word microbe in her life. She just knew what generations of gardeners before her knew, that the garden eats what the kitchen cannot and pays you back at harvest. And that's the whole idea, one scrap at a time. The book walks you through 31 of them, day by day, starting with stuff that's sitting in your kitchen tonight. The 30-day kitchen scrap garden protocol takes you from your first glass of water on the windowsill to your first harvests in 30 days, with plain instructions for all 31 crops, the $10 starter kit, and troubleshooting for when a scrap sulks. It's $17, down from $47 one time, and the banana peel alone can retire a $15 bottle from your shopping list this season. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you use to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up, give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time, there is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. So remember, chop it small, bury it 4 to 6 inches deep and 6 inches from the stem, and let the living soil do what a jar of water never could. What's the one food your kitchen throws away the most? Put it below, and I might make it the next video. I read every single one. And next time, I'm going to show you what happens when you plant one sprouted potato from the back of your pantry in a 5-gallon bucket, including the one move with the soil level that decides whether you harvest 4 potatoes or a whole bucket full. Don't throw it away, grow it. I'll see you next time, buddy.